Let me ask you a question. If you had $100 million to invest, where would you be putting your money right now? Because today, I'm talking about predictions. I'm not talking about headlines. And I'm definitely not talking about what CNBC says you should buy. I'm talking about what the ultra wealthy are actually doing with their money in 2026 and what that tells us about what's coming next. By the way, if we haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Johnny Walker, aka Dr. Jonathan Withanachi. I'm now a part-time endodontist, real estate fund manager, and I spend most of my time helping successful business owners invest outside of traditional Wall Street products so that they can buy back their time. This is the same type of data I look at when deciding where to allocate capital personally and inside the funds that I manage. Every quarter, a group called Tiger 21 releases an asset allocation report. Now, this isn't retail investors. This is about 1,500 ultra high net worth individuals, each with roughly $100 million in investable assets. And this isn't a survey. Each member has to defend their portfolio in front of peers. So this is real money, real positioning. The Q3 2025 report just dropped a couple of weeks ago, and the shifts are subtle, but they're very telling at what the most sophisticated and wealthiest investors are doing. The wealthy are moving from liquidity to illiquidity. Huh? Weird? Okay, listen, hear me out. They're moving away from cash, and they're moving away from bonds, and they're moving away from overexposed public markets. And what they're moving that money towards instead is private equity, real assets with long-term control. Right? Notice that long-term control versus liquidity. Now, let's talk about private equity. Private equity now makes up 30% of the average portfolio of a Tiger 21 member. 30%. That is the highest level in 2 years, and that is not accidental. These aren't people chasing returns. These are people who have built incredible companies, sold them at massive profits, and know how and where value gets created. And the signal is simple. This environment favors patient private capital. The second sector is real estate. Now, Tiger 21, real estate holds steady at 26%. Despite all the noise around commercial real estate, the wealthy aren't panicking. Instead, they're repositioning out of office, out of data centers, and into things like multifamily, mobile home parks, triple net medical real estate, nursing homes, senior living, industrial. Because you got to remember, real estate isn't just one asset class. Most people think of single family homes. Real estate, especially commercial real estate, is very different. Many different verticals within the commercial real estate bucket. So it's very important to understand those nuances when we're talking about real estate. All real estate doesn't work the same way. They don't move by the same factors. That's a nuance that's very important to understand when we talk about real estate. And now let's look at the next section of Tiger 21 investors. A major section is public equities, right? So we have 30% in private equity, 26% in real estate, and 23% in public equities. So this is stocks, public stocks. This also remains unchanged, right? Because while retail investors are chasing these rallies, hey, NVIDIA, let's get into this. Let's go higher allocation into this stuff. This stuff is going to the moon. The wealthy are holding. They're not adding more. They're letting public markets play a role while deploying new capital elsewhere. The next section is cash. Now, we said, hey, they're moving out of cash. They're moving out of liquidity. And I said, huh? Well, cash, that's not completely moving out of cash. Cash dropped from 11% to 9%. Now, they may not seem like a lot, but it actually matters, and here's why. For the past couple of years, cash paid well, but now it's being redeployed primarily into private investments. That's confidence. Next section, this is a much smaller holdings in the Tiger 21 group of people. Is bonds. Bonds are now down to 6%. This is the lowest that I've ever seen, right? Usually there's a higher holding of bonds. Now, the message that investors are sending by bond prices crashing, that means people are pulling out of bonds. Traditional bonds don't meaningfully contribute to long-term wealth at these yields. The wealthy are getting income elsewhere. Cryptocurrency. I know there's a lot of people like Bitcoin. I'm also a Bitcoin investor. Crypto doubled from 1 to 2%, right? Again, that is meaningful, especially when you're talking about a $150 million portfolio. But with crypto, it's not a bet. It's not a bet at all. It's not a guess. It is a hedge. It is a hedge against inflation, against risk, and it's a hedge that allows for diversification. But you can notice here that they're not betting the farm on it, right? It's an historically unproven asset class. And that's why this percentage stays small. It's a very small allocation with limited downside and asymmetric upside. Right? So even if you lose money on this, you don't have a large amount of money there. But if you have wild swings that crypto can potentially give you, there's an asymmetric upside. This helps you avoid FOMO. This helps you to gain some exposure to an asset class that's a little bit speculative. Now, this is how sophisticated capital thinks. Now, what does this tell us as investors, retail investors? Small guys that are investors. This isn't revolutionary. This is how smart money behaves in transitional markets. They move up the liquidity curve. They stay diversified. They completely ignore the noise. Instead, pay attention to the data and the fundamentals. They play offense, not defense. Right? That's being proactive versus reactive. And the biggest advantage the wealthy have isn't information. It's access and patience. Now, if you're watching this and thinking, okay, I get it. What you're saying kind of makes sense. But I'm a dentist. I don't have time. I don't have access to these kinds of investments. Private equity? Debt funds? What even is a debt fund? How you can get access to all these different commercial real estate deals? All very good questions. All problems that I had when I started. And that's exactly why I built the Walk of Wealth community. It's a mastermind group, and it's a small curated group of successful business owners and dentists who want access to private investments, who want to diversify, who want to be smart money, conduct deeper due diligence, and have real conversations about building wealth outside of the stock market, because you can't have that conversation with your financial advisor. In our mastermind community, there's no hype, there's no pressure. It's strictly education, access, connection, and alignment. If you want to learn more about our mastermind group, I'll put a link in the description below. And if this video and breakdown was helpful, please make sure you're subscribed and smash the like button. And I put out content like this every single week, and I look forward to see you on the next video. Hope that helps, guys. Thanks for watching.